I saw them. They were running, carrying something.
Once upon a time, in the red earth village of Umuoma, where the cock's crow greeted the sun and moonlight whispered through palm trees, there lived a woman known far and wide not for her kindness or strength, but for her mouth. Her name was Mama Amaka, and her tongue was sharper than a hunter's knife. She was not the oldest nor the wisest. She didn't sell akara or fetch water. But every market day, she sat near the dried fish seller on a low stool, her wrapper tight across her chest, chewing bitter cola with lips that never rested. One early morning, she leaned toward her favorite gossip partner, Mama Ejima, eyes wide, voice low like wind through dry leaves. "Mama Ejima," she whispered, "I saw something strange, oh." Strange? That boy, Chukwuka, and his tall friend Ezenwade passed my house before sunset yesterday. They were sweating, whispering, carrying something black. My spirit didn't rest, I tell you. I smell trouble. Mama Ejima gasped, pressing her chest. "You mean our Chukwuka, that quiet one?" "And now?" Mama Amaka said, her face alive with drama. "There is something they are hiding. I said I should speak before something bad happens in this village." Chukwuka was 19 years old, strong, respectful, humble, the only child of Papa James, a poor but honest palm wine tapper, and Neka, a soft-spoken woman who sold vegetables in the early market. Chukwuka was his parents' world, but that day everything changed. Papa James had climbed the tall palm wine tree behind their compound to fetch fresh palm wine. Halfway up, he slipped and fell. By the time Chukwuka and Neka reached him, he could barely speak. "Go to your mother's people," he whispered. "Tell them to give you the root. It saved me before... Go, my son, before the night takes me." Chukwuka ran, heart pounding, legs aching. On the way, he met his friend Ezenwa, who immediately dropped his firewood and followed. Together they rushed through the bush path. Their faces were tight with worry, their breaths heavy. They passed Mama Amaka's compound. "Good evening, Mama," they greeted. She barely nodded. And that small moment, that one simple greeting, became the knife that killed them. That night, chaos gripped Umuoma. The town crier's gong beat like thunder. "Awake, awake, the king is dead! Our Oba has been murdered in his sleep!" Villagers poured out with bare feet and wild eyes. In the king's compound, they found the old man cold, blood staining his royal mat, his beads missing, and his guards drugged. There was weeping, panic, rage. But before the dust could settle, Mama Amaka stood in the center of the village square, hands on her waist, voice trembling with urgency. "I saw them, Chukwuka and Ezenwa. They passed my house with something wrapped. They were sweating, rushing like thieves. I didn't want to say it, but the truth must be told." The crowd shouted, and that same night the boys were dragged from their homes. Chukwuka and Ezenwa were dragged into the square, beaten, spat on, accused. "Why did you kill our king?" they were asked. Chukwuka cried, "I only went to fetch herbs for my father." Chukwuka's hands were still stained with the roots he had just returned with. "Please," he cried, "my father is dying. I swear I went to fetch medicine." Ezenwa shouted, "Ask the woman in Kwo. We came from her compound." Ezenwa's parents fell to the ground, clinging to the feet of the mob. "Our son is innocent," his mother screamed. "He is a good boy. Please, listen to us." But the crowd didn't listen. Mama Amaka's words had already choked their ears with lies. With no trial, no elders meeting, no truth-just gossip, they were hung beneath the sacred Iroko tree. Chukwuka's body dangled in silence. Ezenwa's last breath was a prayer. Their mothers wept until their voices broke. But Mama Amaka only folded her arms and hissed. At home, Papa James, weak and barely alive, heard the voices. His wife ran to him crying, "They've taken our son!" He closed his eyes and never opened them again. Neka, Chukwuka's mother, was seen running through the village with blood on her wrapper and madness in her eyes. "My son is not a killer," she cried. "He was just a boy. My boy!" She ran mad. 4 months later, the king was buried, his body wrapped in white cloth, surrounded by mourning drums, bleeding cows, and chants that echoed into the hills. The village cried, sacrificed, and wailed, and then they moved on. 7 years later, the land changed. It started with whispers in the bush. Farmers who went to the edge of the forest came running back, their faces pale, their voices shaking. "I saw something! It stood on 2 legs but had no eyes." It moved like smoke. The villagers became frightened. It started killing the people. It first killed a hunter, then a boy who went to fetch firewood, a young woman who entered the forest to pick scent leaves. The beast left no tracks, only claw marks on trees, torn wrappers and silence. People stopped going to their farms. Hunger crept into every pot. Men began sitting at home, sharpening machetes they were too afraid to use. At night, the beast howled a sound no man or animal had ever made. It was neither growl nor roar, just pain turned into sound. And then, as if the killing weren't enough, the children began to die. Every newborn in Umuoma was dead before their 7th day. Mothers wept dry tears. Goats had miscarried. Chickens refused to lay eggs. The river behind the village cracked into dust. Water fetched from the well stank like rot. People began coughing blood. Mama Amaka's 3 children strong, healthy, happy, began to fall one after the other. The first burned by a fire no one could explain. The second found dead in the morning, hands twisted behind his back. The third disappeared into the forest. When they searched, all they found was his slippers and a necklace buried in ash. Mama Amaka lost her voice. She ran to the village square. Barefoot, hair loose, wrapper soaked in tears. "Who is doing this? Who is killing my children, my babies?" And when it became too much to bear children began attacking their parents, screaming, throwing stones, fighting like possessed. Then the people remembered. The elders gathered, shaking with fear. Their lips trembled as they called for help. They sent word to a powerful man of God, a prophet, known across the lands for seeing into the spirit and revealing buried things. He came and prayed for them. While they prayed, God revealed things to him. His voice was firm but soft, like thunder inside a whisper. The ground cries. I hear voices from the blood-soaked soil. 2 boys, Chukwuka and Ezenwa. They were innocent, but you hanged them. People held their mouths, eyes widened, knees weakened. The curse was not just because of their deaths. It was because no one sought the truth, because gossip sat where justice should have stood. He closed his eyes. The Spirit of God says, you must ask their families for forgiveness. The land will not heal until the mothers release what the rope took. The people began to cry. Grown men wept like children. Mothers tore their wrappers. Fathers covered their faces in shame. That same evening, a procession of villagers barefoot, heads bowed, walked to the house of Ezenwa's mother. Her face was sunken, eyes hollow, hair grey with grief. Her husband had died. The year after their Sonhe couldn't live with the pain. She lived quietly with her only surviving daughter, holding on to memories and rainwater. And now, the very village that took her son knelt before her compound. They wept. They begged. Eldon Woke spoke between sobs. "We were wrong. We believed a lie in the hand of a gossiper. We ask for forgiveness, Mama, not for ourselves, but for the peace of this land." Ezenwa's mother stared at them for a long, painful moment. Then she nodded slowly. Tears rolled down her cheeks like rain. "I forgive you," she whispered, "not because you deserve it, but because I want my son to rest. Let Umuoma know peace again." But there was still one soul left to find. Mama Enneka, Chukwuka's mother. The villagers searched far and wide through towns, forests, markets. At last, they found her in the market square of the next village, sitting on a mat, wrapped in rags, her mind gone. She muttered to herself, drawing invisible things in the sand. She no longer knew her name. They bathed her and took her to a psychiatrist's center, where she was treated, and slowly her eyes cleared. Her memory returned, and when they brought her back to Umuoma, the entire village knelt in the square, holding leaves of peace in trembling hands. "Forgive us," they cried. "We killed your son. We listened to a lie. We destroyed you." And Mama Neka, her voice now soft like rain on dry soil, said, "I forgive, not for you, but so my Chukwuka may smile in the land of the spirits." She raised her hands to the sky. "Let this land be free." Mama Amaka was banished from Umuoma. Her tongue had taken lives, and now her children, her peace, and her home were taken too. That night, the wind changed. The river began to flow again. Babies cried and lived. Palm wine sweetened. Laughter returned to Umuoma. And the strange beast? Never seen again. A lie may leave your lips, but it never leaves the earth. Words have power. Gossip is a seed, and when it is watered with lie, it grows into destruction. But true peace begins with repentance and forgiveness.
Oh, Marianne, the girl they tried to dim, but fire like hers will always win.